Hey guys, this is Mark here, and what I have in front of me is a Sony PVM. Now this is a 13-inch monitor, and you can get them in bigger sizes, but I had gotten this monitor here for I guess I'd say it was an alright price. It was a good price. I don't really want to say the price, but you know. Anyway, moving on. It's basically an RGB monitor. Now, they made Sony PVMs for these private companies. They weren't even these private like broadcasting stations and stuff, and they would use them for broadcasting and for, I guess they would use them for art places, and only like very certain places. It wasn't like something that you would get and be able to use in your house. So with that being said, they aren't the easiest thing to find just out in the wild. They are kind of a novelty thing to get nowadays, and I mean, you don't have to search far online, but if you're actually just hoping to find one at like a Goodwill or something, good luck, because you really won't find one there. I had gotten mine off of eBay, and it managed to get here within a week. It came with the frame. It came with the rack frame, which is nice, but I don't really have any use for it, so I'll probably end up selling that on and trying to cut the price down even more. So yeah, anyway, you can see here, and I'll move the camera over, that way you can probably get a better vision of it. Over here we have Gran Turismo 2 running, and I gotta really loosen this a little. So anyway, you can see here that here's Gran Turismo 2, and it's running on here, and that helps. So here's Gran Turismo running in RGB. It's running on obviously the PlayStation 1, and it looks really good. I mean, I've used two different kinds of converters. The first one I used, and I'll probably try and make a video on that, is the first one I used actually. I'll mention the other one later. The first one is the Scart to HDMI, and that's pretty helpful because it basically converts the RGB into HDMI, and there's tons of displays now that can use HDMI. So, I mean, HDMI is a very nice format to be using, and it looks pretty good. It's not bad. I hear that there's input lag, but for me it never bothered me. So yeah, that was my first method, and I've had that for months. But then I found out about another converter, and that is the GBS 8220. And the GBS 8220 it's also called the CGA to VGA converter. It can convert CGA, EGA, YUV, which is component, to VGA. And VGA is another, I guess you could say it's pretty common, I guess, newer displays. And yeah, VGA is basically RGB, so the only difference is sync frequencies are different. So that's what the board does, it just converts them. So it doesn't normally work with Scart. What you have to do is you actually have to make an adapter or buy one. You could buy the Sync Strike and that'd work. And you can basically just take the RGB sync out of the RGB sync and ground out of the cable, Although you have to be careful when you're making the cable, because you have to make sure to ground all the ground spots, because if you don't, each cable is made differently, so you don't really know if your PlayStation SCART cable is going to be grounded the exact same way as your Sega Genesis SCART cable. So I found that out through weeks of having to learn. So anyway, yeah, that is a pretty good converter. I just got that up and running, but before that, I had actually, like, a week, or no, not even, like, just, excuse me, after a few days before I got into work, I had ordered this Sony Trinitron, and actually, I think it was a week. Actually, it was a week before I got working. I had ordered this, and this is obviously I've already mentioned it, it's a Sony PVM. This is, I think, somewhere around 13 inches, so it's not super big, but then again, this is mostly for just my test station over here, which, if you look around, hot glue gun, soldering iron, random game in the background. PlayStation controller. Yeah, anyway, here you have the game and everything, and the monitor just has scan lines, like, it's got normal scan lines. With VGA, it's also nice because you can get the SLG 3000, and that'll give you scan lines also, but those are artificial scan lines, so, I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter too much, but I've always just preferred the original feel of scan lines coming out of a monitor, as opposed to, you just add it on. Especially on like an LCD or something like that, where it just doesn't really feel correct. So, although, enough of that. Anyway, here you have the whole setup here. I have all these game systems all over. There's even an N64 back there, which is RGB modded. And it looks, all these systems work. I've tested the SCART cord on my Sega Saturn. I haven't tested the Genesis yet. My Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo uses the same SCART cable as the Nintendo 64. And as you can see, the PlayStation is running, and that works too. So I managed to make a good SCART cord adapter. Now, you have to make an adapter for these also, because these use BNC. So there's SCART to BNC things that you could buy on the internet, and you can buy them on like eBay, some place like that. So yeah, I decided though that I didn't really want to spend $30 on that, and I made my own type of adapter. And it's SCART to BNC, like I said. It was originally SCART. It was originally BNC, female BNC to VGA, and I decided to get that. I realized that when it came in, it was only 1 foot, so that was kind of sad. But who knows? I might make another one of these adapters or something like that. It didn't take me that long to make anyway. It only took like 2 hours. So, and I was listening to music, so it wasn't even like I was honestly that dedicated to it. So yeah, I guess I'll show you the setup in the back, and sorry for the no editing here. Over here you can see, if I brighten it up a little, and if I took it off of the tripod it'd probably be easier, so let me do that. Okay, so in the back here is the setup. I got the light on the camera on so that way you can see. Starting over here in the back, you can see that there's these BNC jacks, and then there's this over here. You can see that this is going through a splitter into the audio jack in the back.
because there's not two audio jacks, there's just one, because this only gets mono audio. So yeah, but I figure if I'm gonna get mono audio, instead of just plugging the left or the right channel in, I figure I might as well mix them in there. So that's cool. So anyway, and by the way, on top of having the BNC jacks, I needed a way to output audio. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's the audio method right here. So alright, so then if you go down a little, you can see that it goes into here, and this is a female SCART jack. It used to be the VGA, but I cut that off. So yeah, and then I just placed that there. Very, very simplistic to wire up. Yeah, it looks kind of complicated at first, but if you follow a wiring diagram, or actually if you just follow a pinout, you'll really be able to do this easily. So I'll go down over here. Here's the PlayStation SCART cord. Follow that down. And sorry, I don't know why I'm doing that, but anyway. Here you have the system. And out of the back here is a custom-made SCART cable. I didn't make this, I just bought this. This is, I don't really like to make, like, something like a Sega Genesis Model 1 or 2 or 3, because my Model 3 actually has RGB on it. So anyway, if you look here, you can see that this is a proprietary connector, so I just prefer to buy these. I just prefer to buy these SCART cables already made, because, yeah. So, right. Here you can see that just plugs into the multi-AV out in the back, so that's pretty simple. And, yeah, once you do all that, this is what you end up with. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So if I zoom in here, you might be able to see the scan lines. Yeah, look right there. You can see the scan lines great. So yeah, as you can see there that there's scan lines, and looks kind of like there's just a big scan line across the camera, but that's just a glitch with the camera. So yeah, the camera is not liking the scan lines very much, and it's glitching out the camera. So if I zoom out though and try and zoom in on it, let's see, maybe that'll not. So whatever though, you get the point. It's really scan lines. So, and Sony does it best with the scan lines, I think. Well, actually, and here, actually, I think that might just also be because I have the light on. So here, if you see, I turned off the light. There it is. So, and then there's the speaker there, and there's just one. If you look on the other side, there's nothing else really. There's just the power, and then you have this whole load of adjustments, or so you might think that they're very complicated, but they're actually not. So, alright, yeah, I might as well go through this also, because I kind of had a bit of trouble when I got this in. Right here, alright, so yeah, so here is a RGB. Yeah, so over here, that's RGB. So this is already on. So a lot of people think that RGB. Oh yeah, and by the way, this one over here is component. Because this monitor in particular can actually do RGB and component. There's certain ones that only do RGB, but there's a lot of them that do RGB and component. So a lot of people think that component and RGB are the same thing. Look at what happens when you click the component. Colors get all messed up, and it actually doesn't come across quite as good on camera. I swear. I mean, on the camera it doesn't come out, it doesn't really show you as well. See how that's like pink? Oh geez, I'm getting two big scan lines on the, like two ginormous scan lines on the actual camera. Oh geez. Yeah, so anyway, it comes out all pink. So if I flick that back in to to this mode. Yeah, there you go. Now you can definitely see it. So then if you look down here, you'll see that there's RGB component, and then there's SDI. That's weird. Alright, yeah, so you have to turn off RGB. So anyway, there's C, then SDI. So, oh yeah, and by the way, A, B, C, those are all just the different inputs, I guess. SDI is, I'm not really sure. I don't really know what that stands for, but I know what this button does. This will basically activate S-video or composite. So if you want to use composite video or S-video, then you have to click on this. So over here, there's these two, and I'll just flick it back over here. And right now you can see I'm not getting an image. This over here is line RGB, and then you'll see that there's external sync. So I kind of had a bit of problems with this when I first got this in. I wasn't getting an image. I'm just like, well, it's all plugged in. Did I wire up my cable wrong? But then after just kind of looking around, it said line RGB. So you click that, and actually what happened to me was external sync wasn't activated, and it did that, but I would get audio. So I was like, okay, I must have wired up the video wrong. So before I did that though, I looked right next to it and saw external sync, and I just, without thinking, I just went like that, and I got an image on. I don't know why the lights on aren't. Yeah, so anyway, that is what made it work. So anyway, yeah, if you're going to be using the RGB, just remember that. Otherwise, you will have a few problems. So here is the degauss switch, the blue only, which I don't really think I need to show that. It just, yeah, it just messes with the image. Underscan does this. So it'll make like an underscan, not really like the overscan or anything, it's like underscan. So then there's horizontal vertical delay, does that. And then there's 16:9, which makes there a 16:9 image on a 4:3 ratio monitor. So I don't really keep that on because it's bad. It makes the image look bad. So then after that you have the menu, a dedicated up and down, and the select enter button. So then there's all these settings, and half of these don't do anything, but the brightness, contrast, and volume are what I found actually do something, so that's cool. Yeah, so anyway, I guess I could show you another system running, so let me put this back on the tripod, that way you guys don't get dizzy. Okay, so here we are again, and yeah, let me just get that. Alright, yeah, so the light's on there. Okay, so let me just show the inserting and taking out a SCART cable. So it's pretty simple, I think. Just take it out like that. I'll turn this system off. And yeah, let me get my Nintendo 64 SCART cable out, because I figure I might as well show this. I've tested this monitor just because I was curious with luminance sync, composite video async and actual composite sync, and it all works. Not a problem with any of them. So, all right, so there you go. That's another SCART thing wired up. So, yeah. So if you can remember, it uses BNC jacks. So, yeah, if you're going to be getting one of these monitors, you need some type of adapter. So, all right, here we go. Oh wait, I think I unplugged it, didn't I? Yeah, I unplugged it. Oh boy. Hope you guys don't mind waiting a second, because I actually unplugged that. So now let me turn that on.
It's me, Mario!
There you go.
Hello!
So, you can't normally get RGB out of a Nintendo 64. That's just a modification I made to the Nintendo 64. I'm using an amp, so it's nice and bright and well done. So I find that actually this looks amazing, like on this monitor here. So I don't know if I'm gonna go into playing it or not. Probably not. But you can already see through here. It just looks really good. I mean the scan lines just helped out so much. Yeah, so
Press start to play.
just to let you get a look at it. And as you can see, it's working with everything. So my little custom cable that I made works fine. No problems at all. So if you need any help with getting it all up and running, don't worry, just ask. I can probably give you a bit of advice on getting it to work, but yeah, I'm just happy to see it's all nice and working, and yeah, just really wonderful. Even the image out of the Nintendo 64, which
Press start to
doesn't
play.
normally output RGB. It's something that you have to amplify and wire up yourself. So, also I should probably mention, if you do want to get RGB out of your N64, one, it's kind of expensive if somebody else does it. I mean, a lot of modifications are like that, so yeah. Then number two is it's going to be dark if you don't have an amplifier, so you're really going to want to actually add an amplifier, because if you don't, well, it gets all dark. So yeah, but anyway, this is really nice, like I said, because the amplifier is really nice because it'll just brighten up the image and make it look more like an actual RGB image. So,
Press start to play.
as for the monitor, just loving it. It's great. So, I definitely recommend that you pick up one of these. Yeah. So, if you have a lot of old systems, chances are a good lot of them will support RGB. Now, I'm just gonna say that a few of them don't output RGB. There's like Atari systems which don't output RGB, but yeah. Then there's the NEC systems. I don't believe they output RGB. you need to modify them to output it. And then there's, I think I don't know if these are all the same. I don't own any of these. There's the TurboGrafx 16s, which I don't know. I thought the PC Engine and the TurboGrafx 16 were the same, but I don't know too much about those. So yeah, so those I don't believe output RGB unless you modify them to. And then there's I think that's it. Some models of the Sega Genesis 3, the Model 3 Sega Genesis, don't output RGB, but the model that I have, when I got it and I opened it up, there were traces leading to the output, and when I actually wired up a custom connector, I had gotten an RGB signal out of the output, so like from the output, the mini DIN connector on the back, I got RGB, so yeah, this is just a real signal.
Press start to play.
It's not scaled, it's not edited, it's not altered, it's just straight up RGB. And yeah, I can't argue with that. Honestly though, if you want to get one of these, just remember, it's just not that easy to find one in person, and when you do find them, they can go for some high prices, so just remember that. And on top of that, not all of your systems are guaranteed to run in RGB, so yeah, you might just want to check real quick. And yeah, so you have to add in the cost of getting the SCART cables, getting the adapter, getting the monitor itself, and yeah, that's what I can think of. And on top of that, if you want to use the other formats, like not the S-Video, the S-Video actually is just an S-Video jack on the back of it, so, but if you want to use composite, or, if you want to use composite or component, you're gonna need something like you're gonna need a BNC to, like a BNC to RCA. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. And yeah, with that, you can easily
Mario.
get that
Start to play.
good image. So I guess real quickly, because we're already going into some serious overtime here, I'll pull out the controller and play a bit of this. So here's the menu screen, the select screen. And it's probably not going to come across. So, oh well. My camera's not very happy with the output. Although I do have to say, it isn't giving me too many problems, just the camera seems to not be picking up the sharpness that well. No, that won't work. And none of those black lines obviously are on the screen. That's all the camera. So yep, here it is. And the text here, like the text, when I used any of the other transcoders, converters that I had, they would always make the text look like kind of slightly blurry, not super blurry or anything, but they would always just, they wouldn't always come out that good. So. Yeah, this looks super sharp on here. Could be the scan lines that are doing it, and I'm pretty sure it is because I actually don't have an SLG 3000 yet, so I would like to get one, but at the moment I still have to make an account on the site. Mario, like that. The actual wings on the cap look pretty good. The colors are like really vibrant. Though it doesn't output RGB without modification, I mean it still has one of the nicest RGB outputs I've ever seen. So same with the Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn also has a really nice RGB output. Although the difference is the Sega Saturn doesn't need to be modified to output it. See, and that just kind of goes with what I was saying, how the RGB on the Sega Saturn, on most systems,